Welcome to another live session from the series How You Can Get a Professional Job Here in Australia. And in this live session, which is number 164, yes, 164 weeks that I'm here every week talking about a subject related to the qualification, engineering qualification validation in Australia, and also how you can get a professional job here in Australia as well. And tonight, I'm going to talk about a checklist of some of the important things that you should do. So it's going to be easier for you to get your first or get your professional job here in Australia. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida. I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website that I created to share content of value and useful information to help you in your journey to validate your engineering qualification. And also, I speak about other subjects related to engineering and also about job recruitment. So, without further ado, because I'm already a bit late, I'm going to start with a checklist. And if you like the subject and if you think that it's important for you, please give me a thumbs up, hit the like button. It helps Instagram and YouTube to send this video to other people that are going to benefit with the content. So hit the like button. In the end, if you don't like it, you can dislike, but it's important for you to like the video now. So the first item in our checklist is going to be to invest your time in your CV, your curriculum vitae. And why do I say that? I say that because when you're searching for a job, it's probably very often that candidates or you is not going to invest time in your CV. You're probably going to write a generic CV and then send the CV everywhere. Even this week we got list of applicants of one position that we are recruiting, and I was having a look at the applications, and most of the CVs, they're not good. They're very generic. You can see as a panel member, I can see that people didn't invest time to put together their CV. If you are the one candidate that you just write the CV once and then you just attach that CV to every single application, I've got bad news for you. You're not going to be shortlisted. I can guarantee to you, unless you're the only one applying for the job. And even so. But nowadays, obviously, there's a lot of people wanting to get a job. Once you advertise a position, usually companies will have 10, 20, 30 applicants. And if your application is not good, yeah, bad news. You're probably not going to be shortlisted. So it's very important to make sure that you include the information that's relevant, since the basic information up to obviously the most specific information about your professional profile, your skills, your competencies, the places that you worked, and the main results that you have achieved. That's very important. So make sure that you invest time in your CV. For each application, for each vacancy that you're going to apply, customize your CV. It's very, very important, especially if you have, for example, lots and lots of experience. If you have lots and lots of experience, when you apply for a particular job, you need to select the experience that is relevant to that job. Sometimes as an engineer, you've worked for different places doing different things. And then here in Australia, when you are applying for a specific engineering position, usually it's very specific for that particular job. So try to filter from your vast experience, those experiences that are related to the job. And this will reflect in your CV. If you just do your generic CV, and if you apply for a specific position, the panel members will see that you didn't bother to filter your experience, and there's probably got a lot of things that's not really relevant. So make sure that you read the position description and then have a think about your experience and filter your experience according to the position that you are applying. So that's why it's very important to invest time in your CV. That's our first item in our checklist. Also, another important thing when you're doing your curriculum vitae, don't leave until the last minute to write up your CV. Why is that? One, because majority of us, we are very good procrastinators. If you today find a job vacancy, for example, you go on seek.com.au or career1.com.au, and then you find a job that you want to apply, and then once you read that job description, it says that that position closes, let's say, next Sunday, the 21st of August. And then you think, well, I've got another 7 days, so I don't need to apply today. And you know that your CV is a bit outdated, your cover letter is also outdated. But then because you've got 1 week to apply, you kind of, all right, during the week, I will have a look at my CV, I will update my CV. And then it comes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Wednesday you think, oh yeah, I want to apply for that position, I need to update my CV. But then, you know, it's Sunday, I've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I got another 4 days. And then you don't do anything. And then you wait until Thursday, and then Thursday, friends, they call you to go out, and then you go out, and then Friday you're busy working, you're busy studying. And then comes Saturday you have that barbecue with friends as well. And then it comes Sunday. And then you think, oh, now I need to apply because it closes today. And then you don't really have time to update your CV and your cover letter. You ended up just doing a little bit of amendments. You change just a little bit here, a little bit there, and you send the way it is. So, which means that you didn't have time to research about the company. You didn't have time to research about the projects that the company is delivering. You didn't have time to really prepare your application. So don't leave until the last minute. I know that's difficult because we are all procrastinators. And if you have enough time, you will always probably going to leave until the last minute. And keep sending the questions, Andre, in Instagram. Yeah, I'll go through your question pretty soon. If you have questions, do like Andre, write in the comments. Don't forget to hit like. If you think that those items in the checklist are important for you. And I'll keep going. The second item in the checklist is about the cover letter. And in many countries, for example, in Brazil, I come from Brazil, I'm a Brazilian engineer. I left already, obviously, my country many, many years ago in 2005, so 17 years ago. At that time, we didn't really have to do cover letter. We were doing CVs, one-page CV and those sort of things. But here in Australia, it's very important that you have a very well-prepared cover letter. In the job advertisement, it usually says the documents that you need to provide. The cover letter, addressing the competencies, and your updated resume. Usually, these are the two documents that you need to provide. And as I said before, last week we received applications for a senior project manager that we are recruiting. And when I was looking at the applications, I could see that many applicants, they didn't have a cover letter, just the resume. And I had a look at that particular one, and that one was an overseas engineer. And probably because the person didn't read the job advertisement properly, didn't see or didn't read that there was a need for a cover letter. And the cover letter here in Australia is the document that you will address the selection criteria or the key competencies. So very important, because when you're applying for a job that is asking for you to provide a cover letter addressing the competencies, the panel members, they will read the cover letter, and from that they will then probably base their shortlisting as well. If you address the competence very well, using very good examples, good results, combined with your resume, you will probably have good chances to be shortlisted. But if you haven't provided a cover letter, just your resume, it may be a bit difficult. Perhaps if the panels, they have time, and if there's not a lot of candidates, they might try to dig the competencies by reading the resume. But it's not a good thing if the advertisement is asking you to send a cover letter, and if you didn't send one. It doesn't really give a good message to the panel. The panel will probably think that this candidate that didn't send the cover letter probably didn't pay attention to the job advertisement. And nowadays, obviously, we need professionals, especially engineers, that they pay attention to the documents. They read the documents. People put a lot of time and effort in preparing the recruitment documents. And you as a candidate, the minimum that you need to do is to read the documents and comply with what the company or the employers or the recruitment agencies, they are asking you to do. If you don't do it, you will be penalized, probably by not getting shortlisted. So make sure that you give the cover letter the same or even more importance that you would give to your resume as well. And remember, majority of companies, they recruit engineers using merit basis. What is merit? Merit is when the position description has a series of key competencies or selection criteria. Those are the competencies that are required to do the job. And the candidate will try to demonstrate or prove that the candidate has addressed those competencies. If you have done already your validation process, you know that Engineers Australia will require 16 competencies, and you need to address those 16 competencies to be approved by Engineers Australia. When you're applying for a job, which is merit basis, when they use key competencies, is very similar. You need to demonstrate, you need to prove that you have addressed those competencies by using, obviously, real examples, things that you have done already. I'll go through the question there. Andre is asking, hi Jerson, good evening. I have a question. I worked as an engineer in Brazil for around 7 years, but I quit my job in mid-2017, and since then moved to Italy and then to Australia. Is there any problem trying to validate my diploma being around 5 years without working as an engineer? Yeah, that's a good question, Andre, and no, there's no problem. Engineers Australia does not require any work experience. Even so, I've got many of your colleagues, students in the mentoring program, that they used experiences from way long time ago. Let's say, for example, Layla. She used her experience from back in 2001. So she applied in end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And the experiences that she used was, one was from 2001, another one was from 2003, and the other one was also between 2001 2003. So even though you last worked as an engineer in 2017, there's not a problem. If you have, in those 7 years that you worked in Brazil, if you have good experiences in in demonstrating your engineering skills, it's not a problem. And if your work experience is not really related to the competencies required by the ANZ SEO occupation definition, you can use your academic experience as well. All right. Okay, so the other item in the checklist to help you to get a job as a professional engineer is about understanding the difference between job search and job research. Yeah, Jason, but are the two things the same thing? Yeah, they're very similar, but you need to think about that you are competing with many other engineers or many other candidates. And for you to at least get a chance to be interviewed and obviously get a chance to be hired to get a job, you need to be above the average. The average candidate or the average engineer will probably do job search, which means that it's an old school sorry. It's the old school style. Usually it's based on on the past and looking for similar jobs that you already worked for. Sorry, I got a tick with my throat. And then when you're doing job search, you send resumes and cover letters like a machine gun. You hire somebody, you hire a company, and this company will send 100, 200, 300 applications using the same resume, using the same cover letter, which means that's going to be very generic. Resumes and cover letters, they will be the same for every single application. And obviously, because you're sending to lots and lots of vacancies, it needs to be generic, because if you cannot specify, especially if you're just kind of selecting a whole heap of applications and just send your resume and cover letter. They need to be generic, and obviously the panel members will realize that you're just sending loads and loads of resumes and cover letters, and you're not going to be shortlisted. Also, the job search characteristic is that you're not going to spend time to prepare your documents. You will write one resume, one cover letter, and you will use the same documents and just kind of just attach and send it. So what's the chance of you to get an interview, to be shortlisted to get an interview? Probably very minimum, because there will be people that they will spend time or invest time in writing good documents. So then we go to the job research. Job research, when you're doing job research, you explore your personal brand. Remember, when you're applying for a job, you're selling your professional service. You're selling your professional image. You're selling yourself. So, and as a professional, you have a professional brand, and that's what you're trying to sell. So, that you reflect in your resume, that you reflect in your cover letter, both documents will transpire that if your cover letter and your resume has a very high quality, the panel members will probably have a good impression of you. And they will think, well, if the resume and the cover letter, they are in this quality, maybe the quality of the services are going to be good as well. But obviously, nobody simply relies and trusts what the cover letter and the resume are presented, because on paper, you can put anything on paper. But what you're going to get, you're going to plant the curiosity in the panel members. And if the panel members, they get curious about you, what is the way to kind of make sure that it's not just false alarm or a fake news, but actually you can demonstrate that. The only way to do that is to interview. So if you are able to plant the curiosity in the panel members, you have a very good chance to be called for an interview, because the interview is going to be the opportunity that the panel members will have to clarify and confirm what they've read in their resume and in the cover letter. So, and how do you do that? You do that by researching the company, researching the projects that the company is delivering, tailoring your cover letter and your resume according to the position that you're applying for, not including irrelevant experiences that you may have. And the panel will certainly recognize that you put effort. The panel will recognize that you did a very good job in customizing your CV and your cover letter, and you're probably going to be shortlisted. So this is another point in the checklist. So the first point that in the checklist that I mentioned was about to invest time in your CV. The second point in the checklist was about the cover letter, for you to give importance to a cover letter, customizing your cover letter as well. The third point in our checklist is the difference between job search and job research. And then the other point in our checklist, and mindful about the time as well, be job ready. That's very, very important. And what does it mean to be job ready? There are many, many things. One, obviously, your English needs to be proficient. I'm not saying that you need to be fluent. I'm not saying that you need to know thousands and thousands of technical words. I'm not saying that you need to have in your memory every single Australian standard, but your English needs to be proficient, especially if you're going to an interview. Because interview, if your English is not proficient, if you cannot communicate, and communicate is not just speaking. Communicate is about your body language. Communicate is about perhaps a presentation that you're going to do. Perhaps communication is going to be a handout that you're going to prepare and then you're going to give to the panel members. And obviously, the way that you speak, the way that you behave, the level of confidence. That's all about in your communication. So you need to be ready. You need to be confident that you're going to go well. You need to be confident that you know what you're going to talk about, which means talk about real examples. Because I don't know if you know how an interview is, a professional interview is here in Australia. Obviously, the companies, they do in different ways. But let's say that I'm going to talk about two ways of different ways that companies usually they do. One way is probably the traditional way. They give you about 5 or 6 questions before the interview, 15, 20 minutes before the interview. And then you have that 15, 20 minutes to answer those questions. And those questions are the ones that are going to be asked you to you during the interview. And then in about 45 minutes or so, you will be able to explain and answer those questions to the panel, and the panel will ask you questions and so on. So that's one way. The second way that companies may do the interview is that they may give you a scenario, a situation, or even a problem, and you have to think about that situation, think about that scenario, think about that problem, and come up with a solution. What's going to be your proposal to solve that problem? What's going to be your proposal to that scenario? And from that, the panel will ask you questions. You have to explain things, etc. So, but you need to be confident, and you need to use real examples, because if you make up examples, you will not be confident, because obviously you haven't done that. So you have to start making up, and obviously you may not really tell the truth, and you could be having some contradictions yourself. So make sure they use real examples, because real examples, things that you've done, you can always go back and retrieve that information and talk very confidently about that information. So that's one thing. Your communication, you need to be ready. You need to be confident. Your English needs to be proficient. Another very important part of being job ready is about having your engineering qualification validated already. So that's very important. A lot of companies, not all of them, but majority of companies will probably consider your validation as one of the points to even to shortlist. If you ended up having, if you applied for a job, and let's say that for this job, about 20 or 30 people, engineers, they applied for the same job. The panel member is probably going to shortlist between 3, 4, or 5 engineers to interview. And they have a list of 30. Which means that they need to eliminate, let's say, 25 engineers. And to eliminate 25 engineers, they're probably going to use some techniques. The first technique will probably, they're going to see who is an engineer and who is not an engineer. Because a lot of non-engineers, they also apply for engineering jobs. So they can see that, all right, about 10 are not engineers, so they already cut, and they don't need even to see the resume or cover letter. And then you have 20 left. Of the 20, you still need to cut 15. And then you cut already those ones that are not engineers, which means that you've got 20 engineers. Of the 20 engineers, perhaps 10 of them are not validated. And 10 of them are validated and could be even registered or chartered professionals. If there is a situation that 10 are registered or validated, the panel is probably going to cut or eliminate the 10 that are not validated. And then the panel is going to concentrate their time and effort in reading the application of the 10 that are validated and registered. And then obviously, if you're not validated, you already missed out the opportunity to be shortlisted. And for the 10 validated, they just need to then eliminate 5. So, and then they can then have a look at the competencies, who has addressed better the competencies, and then they can shortlist 5 and then interview those 5 engineers. Yeah, Jerson, but I know a friend that he or she got a job and the company didn't ask for their validation. Yes, I said before, some companies may not ask. Some companies may not even know that engineers, they can be validated. But you need to remember that more and more the states are now requiring engineers to be registered. In Queensland, if you are here in Queensland, You should know that for you to provide professional engineering services, you need to be a registered professional engineer of Queensland. If you are not, and if you're not registered and providing professional engineering services, you are incurring in criminal offense. You can be prosecuted, you can go to jail, you can even pay fines, heavy fines. So that's in Queensland. In New South Wales and Victoria, since last year, they introduced a registration scheme. It's not comprehensive like here in Queensland, but they are asking engineers in certain fields to be registered. And there is a transition period. So if you are there in New South Wales and Victoria, please check the state website about registration of engineers and inform yourself. But to be registered, you need to be validated. And I think was Western Australia that the bill just got passed in the parliament. So I can probably say that in the next few years, all states and territories, they will have some sort of a registration scheme. And to be registered, you need to be validated first. And I've got many engineers that call me asking for help because they're already working, assisting other engineers. And then the company is asking them is offering them even to sponsor. But they need to be validated because they say that that's a condition that the company is asking. They are happy to sponsor them, but they need to be validated. And imagine if you are, let's say, doing some other work and they find out that you are an engineer, they want to sponsor you and you're not validated. It's going to take some time. Engineers Australia themselves, they taking between 30 days if you pay fast track, up to 3-4 months if you don't pay fast track. And obviously there's a time that you need to do to prepare your documentation and to prepare your reports and everything else. So we're talking about at least 3 months or even 6 months. And if a company urgently requires an engineer, and if you're not validated, I don't know, some companies can wait, others they can't. And if they can't, they're probably going to recruit somebody else. So that's what I'm talking about, to be job ready. So it's very important that you are validated already. So if and when the company asks you that you need to be validated, you can then show that you're already validated. And if you want to obviously learn about how you can validate your qualification, you certainly can participate in my free workshop. I'm just going to paste the link in the comments. You just need to click on the link, put your name, your email address, and you already registered to the workshop. I'm going to do a special edition of the workshop early September, starting on the, I think I set the date, starting on the 5th of September. So it will be live sessions where I'm going to teach you during the week how you can start your validation application with Engineers Australia. So make sure that you register and you keep an eye in your emails. Make sure that my emails are not going to your junk mail box. If they are, please save my name and my email address in the favorites, in your contacts, so you don't miss out the notifications about the workshop. All right, and the last item in the checklist, there's many other things that in the checklist, but in interest of time, I had to obviously just talk about few items in the checklist. I might talk about other items in another live session. But the other item in the checklist is what type of jobs to apply for. So that's very important. You need to think, what is your current situation? If your current situation is that you hold an international student visa, let's say that the condition of your visa is that you can work 20 hours a week. So if you can work just 20 hours a week, you're not going to apply for a permanent full-time job. One, because international student visa is a temporary visa. And if you're applying for a permanent full-time job, usually the companies, they're asking that you have rights to work indefinitely here in Australia, and you have the right to work full-time. If you are in an international student visa, then obviously you have a temporary visa and you can work just 20 hours a week. So you need to apply probably for the part-time positions and temporary positions. Obviously, you can apply for permanent full-time. You may omit that information in your CV. But if the company then asks you what type of visa, and then you say, yeah, I've got an international student visa, the company will probably going to be annoyed with you. So you may start burning bridges if you're not 100% transparent and open and honest in your application. So just be careful with that. And also the type of job. We talk about temporary and part-time. And the position perhaps search for other positions as well, not just for engineers or graduate engineers. Why is that? Because if you don't have an Australian experience, if you want to apply for an entry position engineer, if you just search for engineers, you may not get even an interview. So try to apply for other positions like a draftsperson. If you are good in AutoCAD, maybe an option is for you to apply for a draftsperson position, and then you can get a job as a draftsperson. And once you are doing the job as a draftsperson, then obviously you're going to talk with your colleague engineers and managers. They will find out that you are an engineer, actually. And then maybe there will be an opportunity for you to apply for an engineer position in the company. You can also try to search for assistant engineer, for assistant project manager, for project costing officer, project management officer, estimator, procurement officer, quality representative, contract officer, even for a receptionist in an engineering company. You need to remember that it's important, if you want to start, it's important for you to have your foot in the door. It's very important for you to start your networking. If you can get a job in an engineering company or a construction company or a manufacturing company, depending on obviously what type of engineer you are, it's very important that you get your foot in the door, you get a job in the company. And once you are in the company, then you will have relationship with other team members. And they will know that you are an engineer, especially if you are validated or registered. They will know, and your opportunities will increase for you to get your engineer job. So the key message is, if you want to be there, perhaps you need to go down one or two steps before you actually achieve your job as an engineer. It may mean that you will probably work 1 or 2 years not in an engineering position, in an engineering company, but then after 1 or 2 years, you could be working as an engineer. What are the options? If you're not working as a lower level engineering job, you could still be working as a cleaner, as a delivery driver or rider, kitchen hand, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I myself, I worked as a cleaner, as kitchen hand and everything else. But I'm just saying that if you apply as a draftsperson, You can get a job as a draftsperson, for example, and after 1 or 2 years, maybe you can get a job as an engineer, and then you can enjoy the rest of your professional life, work as an engineer if you want to. Okay. Just going to check if is there any question. No, I don't think there's any other question there. Yeah, please don't forget to like the video if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram. It's very important. It's a motivation for me. I'm here 164 weeks, remember? Every week talking about a subject related to the engineering validation process and how you can get a job as an engineer. And if you have any other questions, looks like there's no more questions there. If you have a question, please send me a direct message on Instagram, or you can put in the comments in the YouTube video, or send me a message in Messenger as well. All right. Okay, so I would like to thank you guys very much. And again, apologies for the delay because I had technical issues to begin. But we managed to get the live up and going. And hopefully next week, the 21st of August, I will be here Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane